Welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P. Bush. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Got some good NBA. The Celtics finally lost 2 in a row. The curse is lifted if you're a Warriors fan. But, man, it's been a pretty up and down series once again.
For sure.
Man, we're blessed to watch the greatness of Steph Curry in display this year, man. In the NBA Finals, man, against an elite defense, man. This is a defense that slowed down Kevin Durant, man. And Steph Curry, whew.
43, man. That was a nice game in Game 4.
Yeah, incredible, man.
Yeah, we sure are blessed to be watching Steph. Kind of, a lot of people have this whole, well, he hasn't won a Finals MVP, which was valid, but he's kind of solidifying.
I'm giving it to him, man. I'm taking it from Iguodala, and I'm giving it to Steph Curry, man.
You know what's crazy?
Not even Iguodala thinks he deserves it. He just like, oh yeah, I got lucky on that. I'm like, yeah, you did.
I think Iguodala should speak more on how he doesn't deserve it, because I think he kind of says it in passing, but how competitive these guys are, I feel like deep down he probably thinks like, yeah, I deserve that. He just says that to the media, like, hey, Steph is the greatest shooter ever, so he deserved to get that Finals MVP, but. If anybody watched those finals, I think people, like, I guess you could say 30 to 40 years from now are going to look at that and just be like, huh? Like, what happened? Like, Was there, like, voter fraud? What was going on? But something was happening with the NBA final voting. But, yeah, we're going to get into, the next, I guess you could say 3, 4, and 5 of the finals, with 5 being last night. And, P-Wish, I just want to get your assessment of the finals so far.
Well, Game 3 was huge for the Celtics. I mean, they pretty much took the commanding lead at 2-1. Won their first game at home, right? I think we all agreed that was going to be a must-need win for them. Can't go down 2-1 at home and expect yourself to come back strong in Game 4. And they got it done. I mean, Robert Williams, I thought that was probably one of his best games of the series. I think he had I don't think he had a double-double, but he for sure had 10 rebounds, and I think he had 4 blocks that game.
4 blocks and 3 steals.
There you go. Defensive monster. But you know what the Warriors did do in Game 4? They made an adjustment to their starting lineup, man. They removed Kevin Looney, started taking him off the bench, and put Otto Porter in there. I thought once again Steve Kerr with another great coaching decision, along with what I thought in his Game 1-2, kind of not just purely relying on Curry. He thought, well, we got to bring in another guy that can at least stretch the floor and give you some hesitation of leaving Otto Porter Jr. wide open, because we know he can hit a knockdown 3 if he has to. Yeah. And he was playing pretty good defensively. So then they ended up winning the next 2 games. They won Game 4, Game 5. Every game, whichever way it's gone, it's been like at least a 10, 8 to 10 point cushion, if not more. But when you're against the Warriors, man, like a 9-point cushion, 8-point cushion can go away like that. And I think the Celtics have realized that. So last night was big, especially for Wiggins. I think I said at the start of the series, I was like, the key guys, obviously outside of the stars, were going to be Wiggins and Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's had some good games. I think he put up 20, a couple of these nearly averaging 20 in this series. Hasn't maybe been as efficient, but Andrew Wiggins, man, has been, and Zoo, you might not agree here, but I think he's giving it like an Iguodala type performance from that finals for this current Warriors team. Not saying he should win the Finals MVP, but he's giving you that 16 to 18 a game, right? Playing really good defense, passing the ball when he needs to. And I think Iguodala has actually been his mentor on the team. We saw him pull him over a couple times for defensive adjustments that he could make. So, maybe taking a little bit away from Iggy's long career, however illustrious it should have been or is, take that for what you will. But man, Wiggins, I thought, was easily the key playmaker last night, especially with Curry kind of fading away there in the game after a beautiful 43-point performance, though.
Yeah, after a masterpiece, man. I don't even blame him. He had an off game. It's called regression to the mean, baby. You got to balance it out, man. When you have a GOAT game, you have a trash game, man. That's how you balance it out. But, man, Andrew Wiggins, though, he's making a name for himself this season, man. This guy was written off. Like, when you go to Minnesota, that's where stars go to die, because that franchise is so incompetent. It's so incompetent. So, obviously, he got the blessings that the Golden State Warriors flipped D'Angelo Russell for Wiggins, and they've picked that turned out to be Kuminga, who might be a player in the future. So Golden State looks like they completely robbed the Minnesota Timberwolves, because D'Lo got benched in a playoff game, and Andrew Wiggins has been probably the second best player for the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
Definitely not Draymond Green, who, my lord, he has some atrocious games.
There's a lot of talking, though.
Yeah, a lot of talking for a guy getting 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, man. A lot of talking, man. This dude's stat line pretty ugly. Like triple single, that has like never been true, man. Even a good game is 8 points.
Yeah, and he had that in the first quarter, and they didn't score.
He's gonna have a resurgence.
Dude, his mama called him out, man, so he had to get 8 points in the first quarter. But he was so bad that his mama said, "Man, that's a clone of my son out there." Like that's how bad he was. Like, not even haters, man. It's your freaking mom. So Draymond Green's been atrocious. Like Klay Thompson, on and off this series, man. Yeah. Very on and off, man. He has those games he heats up, man. But like Klay Thompson, not there yet. But Andrew Wiggins, man, that defense. Really bothering Jason Tatum. Really, like Andrew Wiggins was not known for defense when he was on Minnesota.
Yeah,
but like people thought this guy could have been a defensive lockdown player because of his athleticism. The dude's 6'7", long arms, super fat, super strong, super fast, man. Like insane athleticism. Like people said he had a young Kobe body, man. Like that's what his cop was physically. It's freaking Kobe Bryant, but mentality wise, he's got none of Kobe. So after that Minnesota run, man, this guy becoming like a 3-and-D type of dude for this Golden State team, man. And pretty much, he's the Iguodala of the team now. He's the Harrison Barnes of the team. That's his role for this team. Like Andrew Wiggins, he's better than Harrison Barnes, man. He's better than Harrison Barnes.
I hope we all agree.
Yeah, that pretty much he's the replacement for Harrison Barnes. And if you look at the championship teams that won, obviously, without Kevin Durant, like you have a center like Bogut, you got Kevon Looney in that role. Defensive presence, he's been balling out, rebounding at an elite level, and now Andrew Wiggins fills that role. So pretty much that roster from 2015, that first championship roster, it's pretty similar. It is pretty similar. And now looking like they're up 3-2 right now, the modern day dynasty right now. My lord, man,
they do get to go back to Boston.
You got to go back to Boston. You got to go back to Boston, but
for Boston.
Golden State Warriors did not play that great of a game.
They did not.
Golden State Warriors on offense were atrocious.
From Celtics were just worse.
Steph Curry didn't hit a single three, and they won by double digits.
Yeah.
If I'm Boston, I'm very, very worried.
Oh, absolutely.
That third quarter, 8 straight threes. 8 straight threes.
Yep.
And they still lost the game.
Clay, I will say Clay had a miserable first half. I think he had like 5 points.
Yeah, he had 5 points.
He did kind of start that run to when the Celtics were, I think they might have teetered on a couple-point lead there for a couple possessions back and forth. And then Clay kind of got them going a little bit more with Curry slowing down. And then at that point, the Celtics just couldn't really rein it back in. But Yazoo, I agree. I mean, it's been a tough series, man, for the Celtics, at least these past couple games.
And the turnover issues that we've seen in the past.
18-6 last night.
Haunting this team. Because I remember, I was thinking about picking the Celtics, but I was like, ooh, the turnovers, decision-making. I don't know what's up with that because in the Eastern Conference, especially against the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, that was a massive issue that held this team back. Because I feel like defensively, Celtics are fine. But offensively, Jaylen Brown, my lord.
He can't dribble.
Turnover machine. He's a turnover machine, man.
Dribble. He's a two-dribble guy, bro.
I was watching the fourth quarter. This dude had like back-to-back turnovers. I'm like, oh my God, this dude as a primary ball handler for this team, it's just sometimes a disaster to watch, man. And he's a good scorer, but his ball handling, his decision making,
they can only go right. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, they love going right. Man.
They kept talking about that last night, I think, on the broadcast. But if you try to force Tatum and Brown left, neither of them can do a thing because we all know what the move by Tatum is, right? He crosses back to his right. He kind of hitches the ball back a little bit so you can't swipe it. And then he goes for like the finger roll using his arm as kind of a blockade, which in the current NBA is fine. But if you force him left, man, he cannot even come close to doing the same thing.
It's not the same player.
And half the time, if he gets stopped or somebody helps defense, towards the basket, he ends up kind of panicking up in the air and throwing it. And a lot of times, I think the initial play of last night's game, he just drove and kicked it out to Marcus Smart, and it was about 5 feet over his head. And I was like, oh, is that how tonight's going to go? Okay. Because they got 3-1 on turnovers last night. The Warriors only turned it over 6 times, and they turned it over Boston 18. You're never going to win a basketball game.
That cannot happen.
No matter if you hit 8 threes in a row.
You're giving that team, you have similar talent level, that many more possessions.
Yeah, even if they're missing.
Yeah, even
they're going to make 2 at least.
Yeah. So the turnover game, like they can't really fix because, Sean, you pointed out this team does not have a true, really elite point guard. So pretty much
Game,
the primary
game.
wing,
Yep.
primary wing. Marcus Smart's still a point guard, but not an elite point guard.
He's
more
not
of
a
an off-ball
true
type of
point
dude.
guard.
Not
No, he's a guy that brings the ball up.
Exactly. But he ain't that good. But he is their point guard, but he ain't no true PG.
No.
But Tatum and Brown has to control the ball. And they're just not great facilitators. I know Tatum's averaging 7 assists this year, which is pretty nice. But man, he ain't that guy, man. He doesn't have the skill set to be a Luka Doncic, LeBron James type of guy.
Yeah, those are
natural playmakers.
level, you know?
Natural playmakers. He's oh my Lord.
And we bring it all the way
All
back
full
around.
circle, man.
I never
All
said
full
he was
circle,
LeBron or Luka Doncic, man. Stop it,
Exactly.
cuz. Stop it, cuz.
Ah.
Man,
He was
stop
good.
I
it.
had to do it. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
man.
But
I had to
man,
do it.
but Jason Tatum, man, 23.7 rebounds, 7 assists, looks pretty solid. But man, that field goal
Look at that
percentage,
efficiency
that efficiency is
and
tragic.
turnovers.
36% from the field for the series right now. 36%.
How many
36%.
turnovers a game does he have, Zoo? At least 3 to 4.
Yeah, 3.6 right now.
There you
Actually,
go.
I don't even think that's that bad because he's still averaging 7 assists, so over almost like 2 to 1. So I'll
Just
take
under.
that. I'll
Yeah.
take that. Jaylen Brown is the turnover machine without that many
Yes.
assists. But the shooting percentage is really, really weird because he's shooting 45% from 3. That is elite shooting from 3.
He's taking too many fadeaways, Kobe style, man. He's trying to be Kobe.
But his field goal
We
percentage.
all know he's trying to be Kobe, that's for sure. The media is telling us that every 10 seconds.
More like his
Jesus
Instagram profile
Oh,
picture, man. Oh,
Oh, man.
Jeez.
no
I
hate,
love
hey,
Tatum, but God,
love Tatum.
give it a
and
break.
36%
Kobe,
from
of
the
course.
field, man.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
shooting 65% from the free throw line.
That
Hey,
is
that's
He
more-
missed,
that's-
he
yeah,
missed
that's
2
kinda
free throws
crazy.
last night that I was so shocked that happened, man. I don't know if
Hey,
you guys, he bricked 2 free throws. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my, you can't brick 2 free throws in the freaking clutch, man. That's unacceptable. So I don't know what's wrong with Tatum right now because he's averaging 23, 7 and 7. I'm going to give it that he is young right now. It's his first
24,
finals
yeah.
appearance. And historically, it is pretty hard to win a championship as the best player as that young of a guy. The only guys that have done that is like freaking Magic Johnson, Larry Bird.
and your
Tim
first
Duncan.
attempt. How
Yeah,
many? I mean, I'm
exactly.
sure you could tell. I'm sure there are people that have won in their first finals appearance that were the best player on their team.
Yeah.
But you look at
Like the
most. I mean, Dwayne Wade is probably
Dwayne-
one of them.
Yeah.
But that denied Dirk his, right?
Yeah.
He had to get it on his second try. LeBron had to get it on his second try. Kobe obviously had Shaq, but Shaq
yeah.
lost in the finals, right? To
Yeah.
Hakeem.
Shaq when he
So
was-
Yeah.
man.
and
He had
Orlando.
already
Yeah,
been
he got
through it.
swept.
and was guiding Kobe. You know, the main person on each team, usually you kind of have to go through it and deal with it.
Yeah,
first.
pretty much. Unless you're one of the greatest players of all time, man, winning your first ring as
Exactly.
this young of a player, like Tim Duncan, freaking Larry Bird, Magic Johnson.
There
In
you
the
go.
right situation, they got it done. Those guys are all time greats. So
Yeah.
what Tatum's doing, 23-7-7 on 36% is not unexpected. His efficiency, but Jaylen Brown, man, I don't know what the hell is wrong with this dude, man. Like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with this dude's handles.
He has-
Decision making.
yeah.
It's just he
Decision
can't dribble,
making.
bro. He's
I think it's
like
inexperience.
Well, yeah. That's probably another big reason too. Like we kind of forget this is their first actual finals, and they are very young.
Yeah.
But I just think with Jaylen Brown, he's like in that category with wings where there's some wings that could like really dribble. Like Paul George is a wing I think about that is like got a really decent handle for a guy as big as he is.
Yeah,
But then there's just certain wings that can't. They have like a couple of moves off a couple of dribbles, and then they're kind of stuck. And I think Jaylen gets stuck in that. Not to say he can't improve that because he is still a fairly young player, but he's been struggling with ball handling a lot, and I think that's just kind of how it is with a wing.
I think if you're a struggling ball handler as a wing, you have to either adapt and learn, just try and pick it up, or move it to the post and get a good post game, work on your footwork down there. Because Zoo, I think you can attest to this too. That's what DeMar DeRozan did. He's never been the greatest ball handler in the world as a wing. I mean, he can get to the bucket.
I don't know.
when he
This
wants
year,
to.
man, his handle looking pretty damn good. Man.
But it's mostly his footwork when you think about it. It's actually like how he spins in the lane.
And he spends
right?
a lot of time in the mid-range,
Spins, his Euro step, right? His step around move. It's a lot of footwork things that I think we see Jaylen do when we see him drive. But when he's in the post and he's trying, or he doesn't really sit in the post that much, but when he does, he could probably add to his game that way and be more of a threat. But I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I did want to pose this question. Do you think that this series, with how off each game is Tatum to Brown, they're not really consistently having a good game, and I know we've talked about it so many times. Do you think that's a tell that maybe they should move on and try and get a more complimentary player for most likely Tatum? If I were to say,
I've been saying,
yeah, I know you were like, yo, trade Brown to Portland. I'm like, man,
if you could get an elite point guard and you have to give up Brown, I would do it. An elite point guard, not just a regular guard. If you get a regular guard back, then no. But if you can get an elite point guard for that team, I think that would make the world of difference for that team.
Trade Jaylen Brown for an elite point guard.
Yes.
Based on how he's playing,
I need an example.
I'm trying to think like an elite because the elite point
Kyle
guard
Lowry
traded.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Miami trying to ship out his fat ass, man. Look at the Miami got that fat test he got to pass every summer, man.
Yeah,
hoping he fails, man.
I think he already did.
He must have something in his contract.
Pat Riley just gave him the eye test.
A fat exclusion, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. I agree with you, Sean. I think that if
elite point guard, it has to. First of all, it has to be in the time frame. They're all relatively younger players. Like most of the roster is young, outside of Al Horford, the old man. But the majority of the roster is young. So got to have a guy in the timeline. And those elite point guards at that age, they ain't getting traded.
No,
Halliburton.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
Halliburton for I don't know Brown, and I'm guessing Boston would probably want to pick or something.
That is interesting, but nah, I think Jaylen Brown. They're having two dynamic, two-way wings. That's the thing, two-way wings.
No, I'm with you.
Jaylen Brown helps out so much with the defense, ability to switch.
Not when he's turning over and they're on fast break, though.
See, that's the thing. I think with Brown and Tatum, like what I think what happens a lot with their possessions, and this is probably part of the reason why Tatum has struggled in like kind of the 2-point range and near the rim, is I feel like a lot of times when they're coming down and they're not really running up and down, when they get into their half court set, they kind of just play around until like the 10-second mark. And then it's a lot of ISO ball with Brown and Tatum.
Yep.
And like when you're hitting your shots, that's like the best thing you can have, because when you got two wings that are hitting shots, that's hard to beat. But I feel like sometimes, and it speaks to the turnovers, like as many, like this hadn't been a problem in just this series. The entire playoffs, Boston has struggled with turnovers. And that's directly correlated to them not having not even just a good lead point guard. They don't have anybody that can settle them down and get them into, like you say, you're not running sets the entire NBA game.
No.
But like, just to get you, like if let's say Warriors going a 9-0 run, well, when we come out of the timeout, an elite point guard or a good point guard is going to get you a good set, it at least get you a good shot to where you're probably going to get fouled or you're going to make that shot if you're a good shooter. And I just feel like whether Boston wins or loses this series, that's what they need to go find this offseason. They don't have to get an elite guy, and they don't have to necessarily trade Jaylen Brown. But they need to get a point guard, because I know, like I say, I like Marcus Smart, but I don't want him running my team.
He's a better
Marcus Smart. Yeah, he's a combo. And to me, dude, if they just had, I always say, if they had like Tyus Jones, I think they would be worlds better. And he's a backup. I think they'd be worlds better, because Peyton Pritchard can't run the point. The other guy, Neesmith, can't run the point. Like, who on that team outside of Marcus Smart can handle the ball?
Yeah, and when he's out,
and when he's out, who's handling the ball? Tatum, and I love Tatum. Tatum is a guy who can play make. But if I'm the GM and I'm looking at their team, what do I want Tatum doing the most of? Scoring. I don't want him thinking about playmaking. I don't like if he's got 10 assists, cool. I don't want him doing that. I want him scoring the basketball, because that's what he's put on earth to do, is score. And I feel like if he had just an average or a good point guard, he would. I think that's the next part of Boston's ascension. If they just get a good league guard, Tatum's going to become even worldly. Because like you say, Tatum, he's not at the point now. He'll take weight off of shows. I don't need Tatum dishing out 10 assists, 24 points. That ain't him. That's not him.
Give me 25 to 30, 3-4 assists. I'm fine with that, man. That's right with Kobe. Average, right?
I know, and we all love Kobe. Like, we all love Kobe. Kobe wasn't passing the ball like that. That's not his forte.
Only the Meta World Peace for the game winner in the finals.
It's a good old Meta.
Kobe.
But yeah, I have to think about a point guard that could, like, off the top of my head.
I don't know. I don't think the Boston Celtics roster, they're ready to win a championship. It's just a couple of key decision making on offense. It could be easily 3-2 right now. It could be easily 3-2 right now.
Yeah.
So I still think, though, if they win this series, they need a point guard.
But yeah,
I don't think that's going to
change. What team doesn't make any move? I mean, if you don't make any changes, especially Brad Stevens' first true offseason.
Who's done an amazing job.
Right? He's done an amazing job. But his first, like, post offseason, they're coming off, if they win the finals or they lose, unless you're like the Bucks and you're just strapped for cash and you, like, can't make any move, I mean, there's no reason to not, try and
No,
bring
you're talking
somebody
about
else in off the
significant
bench.
moves. If you win a championship,
No.
all you got to do is rotate, get some new role players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Sean's talking about a Tyus Jones, a good backup point guard that you can come in, bring off the bench so that Marcus Smart doesn't have to play 40 minutes a game and expect to give you 18 to 20 and be the primary facilitator. Tyus Jones can come in. We saw what he did in the game when, games when Ja was out. He put up about, 18,
solid.
19 a game, and he was giving you 5-6 assists. That's what Marcus Smart is doing, but he was making, and it was just taking away from, some of the other guys on the Grizzlies, which hopefully, to Sean's point, I think
their turnovers.
He's hoping that's what Tatum.
Their turnovers have just been too. It's not like you say. It'd be different if it was just in Golden State. It's been like this the entire playoffs, and that's directly correlated to them not having a point guard.
Absolutely.
You can't argue it. The point they're like you say, if they cut their turnovers to just 10 last night, they might win that game. Because it's obvious if we're watching this series, Boston is the better team because they have two guys that at any moment can be the best two players in this whole entire series. Like Steph would be maybe you could say one, but then Tatum and Brown are 2 and 3. And then on if Marcus Smart is hitting and hot, you could maybe wash him and Andrew Wiggins out. But Boston has a better team. But it's just I feel like you say they get sloppy with the basketball. Now, I think this is going 7 because I just cannot imagine them
Game
losing
6
on home
Clay.
floor. If that comes out, then all bets are off. But
if they're
Clay
turning the
had a pretty
ball
good
over
game today, I just don't.
If they're turning the ball over and they get out in transition and like Clay gets some open shots, man.
Well, the pressure, like we all know, the pressure is going to be on Boston. So it's going it's going to be how I feel like Boston, for them to win that game, they're going to have to get out to like how the Warriors got out. What was it, like 24-8 beginning of the game? They got to come out like that for them. If they keep it if Warriors keep it nip and tuck the entire game, I think Boston's going to fold. And plus two, I just don't see like Steph had the amazing game 4, but does he have another 40-point performance in him?
Oh, another. I thought you were going to say 40. Another bad performance.
No. He's not going to have another bad performance. He's going to hit a 3.
40. I could see him getting a nice 30 piece though. I think Clay's going to.
You think 30 piece? Yeah. Clay. So it's going to be.
Back.
And then Wiggins might go off and give you another at least 20 points. If Wiggins and Clay give you 20, then they're probably and Clay and Steph is in that 30 range, and they'll probably be fine. Because we know. And you got also the Gary Payton, I think, gave him 15.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Gary Payton, man.
Well, that was the other thing. Their
15
bench
points off the bench.
Yeah, their bench put up 31 on 55% shooting. To the Celtics, I think they put up 9 on 19% shooting. I want to say something like that. So, I mean, obviously some of that was garbage time. Nesmith came in. But, like, Pritchard and White, they were not hitting anything yesterday. I mean, it was just tough. It's just been one of those
White's been super, super inconsistent.
Yeah.
And Horford, I feel like
isn't it a 3
back to back?
I don't think he's hit a 3 in this, at least in a while. Actually, no, he might have.
Talking about Pritchard or
no, Derek White. I think he might have ended up hitting one in Game 4, but oh man, they're just struggling. It's tough to watch because I was, and I think they will still force 7. I mean, I do think so, and I'm only giving that to their home floor advantage. Yeah, I think it's gonna be crazy. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if there's no better place to win a finals on the road than in Boston.
Opponent, oh my god!
Not any opponent. Boston or Philly. It's got to be one of the two. Maybe the Knicks a little bit just because it's New York. But if you shut that crowd up in Boston, man, you're doing something right.
Players play really crazy in Boston, dude. Yeah. Like some of the most legendary
they treat you crazy in history
are like, But listen, Boston fans are definitely on the list of fans that I do not like. But like Boston but I do respect how they like come together and they're like, a galvanized fan base. But it's something about Boston that a lot of players have some of their best games.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Steph Curry,
Jordan.
all with 40 plus. Oh yeah, 63 MJ. Like it's crazy, man.
Something about it. So I am pissed that my Celtics and 6 take didn't go, but now I'm rooting, since now that's out the window, I'm rooting for 7 games. So hopefully Boston can cut their turnovers down and make this into a winner take all game 7, which would be exciting to say the least. But we're going to get into, our NBA draft, I guess, analysis with Jaden Ivey next. He's a point guard that definitely is, considered the first guard in a lot of mocks being taken. Unless you're looking at a mock from somebody that you don't know, but he's usually he's kind of the consensus guard that's being taken off. So I wanted to ask the guys what they think about his style of play, who do they remind him of, where you can see him going in the draft. And so I'm gonna start with you.
It's your
He
boy.
might have let me down in the March Madness tournament, man. But this guy's an NBA player, man. Day one, NBA player. He's got the length. He's got the athleticism. I like the form of the jump shot, man. He has a little deeper range than the traditional guy. Man, this guy's gonna translate immediately. And I don't know, man. Last year, Jalen Suggs, man, looking like complete doo-doo shooting the basketball in the NBA. Complete trash that shooting. Great athleticism, man, but complete no shot at all. But Jaden Ivey's, man, I don't think that's going to be a problem this year, man. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that shot's going to translate immediately, man. And, dude, if he gets in the right situation, dude, he might win Rookie of the Year. Might win Rookie of the Year first year, man, dude. Because this guy, primary ball handler, primary playmaker, man, he can immediately affect the franchise immediately at the point guard position. But a lot of these guys, like out recently with these drafts right now, dude, NBA studs are coming out of every year. Every freaking year right now. Players 18, 19 years are making immediate impact. Even though this draft doesn't have a consensus number one, Jaden Ivey could turn out to be the best player in the draft, man. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Because all the forwards, like, I don't know why there's such a tier drop-off with Bonchero and Smith and Chet Holmgren. Like, I don't know why that's a big 3 tier. Like, the consensus draft experts all love those guys so much. I'm like, man, come on. I don't see it. I don't see the consensus, man. Like, I saw the consensus with Zion, RJ, and Ja. Like, that made sense. But this consensus, I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I don't know why Jaden Ivey get so much love, but I feel like this guy can be the best player in the draft, man, compared to those forwards, man.
Well, I know Zoo's been waiting to say that on the podcast for about 3 weeks now, for sure. We're waiting for the Jaden Ivey topic. I mean, Zoo, I agree. I think he's the most explosive player in the draft. I mean, if you're looking adding that onto being a top 10 player in this draft, I'm sure there's some guys that can jump out of the gym going in the second round. But this guy, I mean, 6'4", 200. Zoo, I think he's got a little Ja Morant in him, just with his explosive. He loves to attack the rim. I mean, this guy, yeah, he can hit the step backs. He can hit the pull-up threes in transition. But he likes to get to the rim. He's aggressive. He's kind of at that Donovan Mitchell combo guard height. Yeah, 6'4".
Yeah, he's like strong looking too, man. His body's like built.
He slashes. He slashes a little like Wade too. I think in his driving ability, but I think his explosiveness is crucial. He can hammer it down. I mean, we saw him a couple poster dunks Zoo in Big Ten play against Indiana. Oof, watching him play Indiana twice was tough, but. This is tough, Sean, because I think he's going to go. I don't know where he's going to go. I think a lot of people have him at 4. I think if he slips to 5 to the Pistons, I think they'd have one of the best young backcourts.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That would be scary.
I think that's the best fit, not just because Zoo, you're a man of this guy. You take the best player available, man, no matter what you have on your current team.
Yep.
Cade, you always talk about, teams in the lottery. Anyone's tradable. I think Cade is out of that question. They obviously wouldn't trade Cade, and he'd have to play alongside him. But I think Cade would be the primary handler, and I think you'd run Jaden as the combo guard, just because I think he's a bit more explosive, and you can get him on slashes.
But he can play off ball and
play a little ISO ball. But I also think that if needed, they can switch roles at any point. And if you have that, you want to talk about something that the Celtics might need. Those guys can both handle the ball. And, I'm not saying the Celtics should trade in the draft if they want to move Jaylen Brown and try and move up in the draft for a Jaden Ivey type player. I wouldn't say that'd be a bad move, but you're betting big there. So I think any team that if you have a lot of big men, of course, you're going to look at this guy. And we know a lot of the teams in the upper of the lottery have that situation. But I agree. I think he's the most talented player in the draft. I think he's the most NBA ready player in the draft.
For sure. I think he's NBA
and people underestimate his defensive ability, man. He's got long ass arms and he loves to play those passing lanes. So I think he has it all. I think he just does need to work.
I don't know why. Why are these experts having this 3 forward tier?
You know how it is.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
it's the 3 big guys. Things come in threes, man. You add a fourth, it just doesn't have the same ring to it.
But man, I'm just like Bonchero. I can see that guy buster, man. I just can't. I just see him being like
Jabari
a
Parker in him.
Oh.
Shout out to Jason Tatum for saying Jabari Parker was freaking.
Yeah,
Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins.
I'm sure somebody said that to Wiggins at some point in this.
No, he definitely saw
series.
He definitely saw that. Jason was just sticking up because he's from St. Louis and Jabari is a Chicago kid. I get it. Like it's they're in the same area.
My Lord, what a bust!
Yeah, Jabari Parker was a tough one.
I thought it would be so good.
I agree with you guys though with Jaden Ivey. He's to your point, people, NBA ready. I think he's going to come in, put him on the floor, and he's just going to figure it out. Because, like you said, when you're that athletic and you also have an ounce of skill, that means you're going to be able to translate to the NBA very well. To me, I think just in terms of his stature, he reminds me of Westbrook. Like Ja, athletically, I could say he's probably around Ja, but I just think his stature and how Westbrook kind of looked when he came out, they kind of got the same build.
Yeah.
And they're like quick twitch. I would say athleticism is there. So, anytime you're dealing with guards, it's in this day and age, you got to think about shooting. And I think he shoots it well enough to where if he gets on a majority of the rosters, he'll be able to blend with whoever the other guard is. Like you say with Cade, I think has to have the ball in his hands. So I think he would be a perfect complement to Cade because Cade's going to feed him on the wing or feed him cutting through and doing whatever. So I think that could be a really good pairing. Plus 2 would be the best available player probably if he slipped to number 5. If I'm Sacramento, though, you already gave up Tyrese Halliburton. Just draft Jaden Ivey. Because at this point, if Jaden Ivey is who we think he is, and he ends up – because, Davion Mitchell, I don't see being the lead guard for the Sacramento Kings. He could probably be a nice guy that maybe can come off the bench. I just don't see him growing into this. Yeah, 6-man. I don't see him growing into a lead guard that's going to set up others and do all that type of stuff. But if Jaden Ivey comes in as the real deal, then De'Aaron Fox can definitely be dealt. There will be suitors for De'Aaron Fox, and you can get a nice haul back for him. And then you have Ivy,
Celtics.
picks. Yep. It could be a nice little situation. I don't know if they would – I don't think I would give up.
That's a lot of that's putting a lot on.
Do that.
A lot of faith on De'Aaron right there.
Yeah, I don't
no hate. He's good.
Yeah,
you just never see him play.
But I do say if, like you say, you draft Jaden and he's the real deal, and you think De'Aaron Fox is expendable, then that just gives you another trade piece, and then you have a situation of Demonte Sabonis, Jaden Ivey. You have a nice 1-2 punch, and that could maybe get you to the playoffs for the first time in however long it's been for the Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento, though, man. That franchise is cursed, though, man. If anything, I don't want Jaden Ivey on there because Mike curse his career, man. Like, legit, Mike.
Or you can turn it around. You never know.
I don't think anybody could turn around. Like, only like Michael Jordan could turn around that franchise.
Hey, new head coach.
Mike
Brown,
right?
you know my thoughts about Mike Brown. Absolute.
I do.
Man. You better thank LeBron for getting you that job because Jesus Christ.
Well,
and the Golden State Warriors, man, and the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, lead assistant. But
Jesus Christ,
there's probably I've been seeing a lot of talk, and because it's the Kings, the Kings just don't ever make the right draft picks. But I've been seeing a lot of talk with them taking Shaedon Sharpe, which if they were to do that, and then he does end up going to Detroit. Like, that might be one of the biggest steals in the draft if that actually ends up happening. Now, I'm in the camp because there's a lot of people who hadn't seen his tape, but I've watched a lot of Shaedon Sharpe, dude. He is not like he's the classic guy of 4 years from now. We'll be like, why didn't he go top 1? Because he's a 6'8", 6'7" guy who can dribble, can score, and he just doesn't have a lot of film. So people are like, we don't know what he is. He didn't play college, so we don't. But it's like, if you go watch his AAU stuff, and I know his high school, like, you just look at the guys, like, he's got the skill set. So
but
it's
my
like,
question, though,
the skill set is.
My question, though, is he's got the athleticism. Like, he got freaky
and
bounce,
the shot.
Man.
Yeah.
And he got a nice shot. But you know what he reminds me of? J.R. Smith.
And that's good.
I don't know. As a top 5 pick, though. I'll take J.R. Smith in a late lottery.
And he's a champion.
J.R. Smith.
Ask LeBron that question.
Oh, my Lord. I can't get over this.
Young J.R. Smith, go look back at his highlights. He was tough.
He was tough. Good, but he was a really elite. He was a 6 man. But when I'm drafting in the top 5, I want an all-star caliber guy. Like if you visually look at him, he passes the eye test.
Yeah,
6'8" wing that shoots and scores. And like you say, I love Ivy, but if both of those guys are at the apex, Shaedon Sharpe.
No. Jaden Ivey. No.
You're going against your logic because you always say wing players win championships.
Sharpe is more 6'5", 6'6". He's more of a 2. He's
bigger than Ivy. Is what I'm saying. He's a bigger wing.
By like an inch. Like Jaden Ivey, a big point guard.
He's a bigger guard.
He in a 6'2".
He's Donovan.
He's 6'4", 190. Like, and he's got a little Donovan Mitchell too in him, man. the body type too. With
I feel like he's
athleticism.
bigger than Donovan.
Yeah,
Mitchell.
he's a lot taller. He's 2 inches taller than Donovan Mitchell.
But it just
So,
Donovan's
just
strong
has the
though.
wing.
Yeah, Donovan. Yeah, Donovan's a big, strong, burly dude. So, dude, Jaden Ivey, though, I just look at this guy. I'm like, this guy ain't going to bust. This guy ain't going to bust. He's going to be an NBA starter for a decade, man. An NBA starter for a decade going that leave top of the draft. OKC, man. OKC might have their eye on him. But the thing is, they got Shea. But my boy Presti don't mess with picks. So if he's smart, man, he might be like, "Yo, I'm gonna get the best player available and take this."
Watch him take Shade,
or maybe trade back, get some
He
more
trade
draft
back a
picks.
spot.
That is a classic Presti move. He might trade back a pick just to get a future first rounder on top of that. So
on top of the 20 he already has.
Exactly, on top of the 20, maybe they make a deal. But it's very, very interesting because if you look at Orlando, like the franchise, I don't know what their philosophy of drafting is. I don't think they're going to take a guard. And obviously Houston, they got so many guards with Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. Like, they got a lot of guards. So I don't know what their philosophy is either. I think their franchise is pretty stupid, so they might do something dumb and take Banchero. But, my God, Sacramento, I'm praying to God he doesn't go to Sacramento.
Yeah. That'd be tough.
But if you're Sacramento and you're high on Ivy, you need to take.
If you're Sacramento, you take him. Yeah. I'm talking about if I'm Jaden Ivey's agent, man. If I'm Jaden Ivey's agent, man, I want get him to Detroit. Get him to Detroit, man, because I feel that fit for the future.
Never thought you'd say that, right, Zoo?
Yeah, no. I like their young core, man. With Kate Cunningham, I'm super high on Kate Cunningham. He went from having one of the most inefficient starts and turning around, averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, man. This dude's gonna be averaging 25 and 5 for his career, man. Like, this dude's just his IQ, his passing.
Smart.
Some people just don't have that passing gift. It's a gift. It's an IQ that you develop early, and some people don't have that, and he's got that. And getting that efficiency up, man, getting that shooting percentage up, man, that could develop with working with an NBA trainer. But that passing, that's something that some people just can't ever develop. Exactly. It's an instinct that some people just have, ability to think that quickly. So I'm like, man, Jaden Ivey with him, man, I love that fit. If I'm Detroit,
gold.
Oh, I'm praying, man. Or you trade up. Trade up.
I think this is an instant where you
trade up if you think
they might not have to, because Sacramento's probably going to screw that.
You know what they're going to? I think they'll trade.
They probably won't have to.
Well, if they do that though, they could package Jeremy Grant if they're drafting Jaden Ivey too. I mean, Jeremy Grant's not a scrub.
Jeremy Grant, whatever.
He's not a scrub though. I mean, he could give a team 20 if he wanted to, right? So I mean, he's a good 3-and-D guy. Was big for the Nuggets. Kind of made his money in Detroit. Which, hey man, get your bag, do whatever you need to do.
80 million.
But if they did want to move up, he'd probably be the guy to move since you're bringing in another guard anyways.
Yeah, man.
So I think we're all in agreement. Jaden Ivey is going to be the most ready player, and that's kind of how it goes with the guard. If you're an elite guard coming in the draft, you're always usually ready made. Like Jaden now. Who else was the guard a couple years ago that came in?
Derrick Rose.
That's just talk about years ago.
That was a decade.
I keep forgetting I'm old.
Somebody had a funny picture of Derrick Rose where it showed him. NBA, like 2K.
The 2K video. Derrick Rose has been good this long. Is a freaking safe.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, low key true though, man.
So bad.
My boy's been good for like 2 years.
But there's a lot. There's a lot of point guards that come in and they're
just ready to go. That's how it goes, because you got the ball in your hand, and now too how the game is catered to the guard.
Yeah,
you like by the time you're 16, 17, you're pretty much ready made. A lot of those guys can go into the NBA then.
Play high pick and roll, man.
Yeah,
high pick and roll every game. Yes. Oh, jeez.
So we're gonna see. It's gonna be very interesting because the draft right now we have our solidified lottery, but there could the draft is coming up in a week or a couple of weeks. In next week, maybe
23rd, man.
23rd next Thursday.
A little over a week, man. A little over a week.
So we're definitely, I feel like with OKC, with all the ammunition they have, they might be doing some trading. And if we see a trade come across and they're trading back, we might be looking at Jaden Ivey going to the Oklahoma City Thunder, because it just makes all the sense in the world that if they're trading back, that's the guy they're probably targeting, I would say.
Shea for Jaylen Brown.
Wouldn't be mad at that. I like Shea a lot. I don't think Jalen's representatives would want to go to OKC, but who knows?
Sam Presti, though, man. He doesn't miss. So whoever he drafts, I'm going to be automatically more bullish about that person just because of Sam Presti.
Pretty much.
Because this guy just doesn't miss, which is incredible for NBA track record. Even the best GMs misses, but this guy doesn't.
How many first-round picks, if you were an organization you're trying to get Sam Presti, how many first-round picks is he worth?
Yeah. I'm like whatever. Like if we didn't have Arturis, like when we had Garpax, I wanted Sam Presti. That was also a rumor that the Bulls were looking at him, but I would have gave whatever. I would have given him a max contract for a GM. So there's no salary cap. There's no salary cap. $20 million a year. Turn around this freaking franchise. Reinsdorf, $100 million. Sam Presti is that good.
He's fine.
He's that good because he turned up. He had a franchise in Oklahoma City. Irrelevant franchise, man. Irrelevant franchise. And he built a young core that was so good that only got blown up because the owner was cheap. Owner was cheap as hell. And was still able to rebound. He built a Western Conference contender. And this guy, basketball genius, man. He knows how to draft players. And the guy
he started at 29.
Yeah. And he was able to he was even in really bad situations. Recover from Kevin Durant. The Kevin Durant departure. Was able to get Paul George for Westbrook, but the problem is he had Russell Westbrook, so he couldn't get it done with that dude. But it was the finesse for Chris Paul. And then they traded away Chris Paul for more picks. This is the guy that trades a paperclip to a house, man. That's what he does, man. Yeah. Legit, like he traded Chris Paul twice away for additional draft picks, man. They got Al Horford. They got a pick. And then he traded away Al Horford and got another first-round pick, man. This guy's the master finesser, man.
He knows the teams that are on their knees begging. And they're kind of he puts a lot of teams in submission. He just chokes a lot of teams out, and he puts them they're pretty much against their will, and he just always ends up winning. Like you said, they always say sometimes in trades, like you don't always win the trade, but he is probably the one example that he usually wins the trade.
Or he feels that way, or knows in the future that he's going to get something out of this.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting too. Like with his drafting, I don't think we're not all worried about that, but in terms of just how he builds that team, that will get interesting with all the young talent that they got. Because at some point, it's cool to have all these draft picks, but you gotta kind of get into the playoffs and start making moves. So maybe 3 years from now, we'll start judging him if he's not doing that. But he does know how to build a roster. So I don't think there's. If the team's not, if the team's not competing, it might be because the coach isn't good, because he knows how to get.
Yeah, he legitimately hired the cheapest coach possible.
Yeah, I don't know who the guy. He's like a G League guy, wasn't he? Pretty sure he's coaching the G League. Yeah. So, like I said, draft's going to be interesting. Draft's coming up next week, so we will start probably seeing some shakeup with that. The NBA Finals will more than likely it'll be over, won't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely will be over.
Either way.
So we'll be seeing a champion in the next couple of days. So make sure you guys lock in the bullheaded_pod on Instagram. Make sure you tune into our Facebook under the same name. YouTube, Quantrell Knows, put up a lot of YouTube shorts with all the latest features with the NBA Finals, NFL, NBA Draft, things of that nature. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush,